What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be restoring and customizing these lost and found Jordan 1s. A few weeks back I showed you guys how to do a proper declean on this shoe in the Shoe Care Academy. Well, since then I put them back on feet and trashed them even more. I even had Zion, our editor, borrow these over the weekend. He did some heavy skating and got some heavy scratches all around the sneakers. Well, now it's time to fix that and make these look like the sample black toe Jordan 1s with the black tongue. We got some work ahead of us, so let's get started. First things first, we gotta give the shoe a good deep clean. We're gonna be using our Rejuvenator Essential Shoe Cleaning Kit. If you guys want an in-depth, step-by-step on how to properly clean the shoe, click this link right here to get all the tips and tricks to get the best cleaning possible. First things first, let's take out our laces and insole. Next step, before we start cleaning the shoe with water and solution, we're gonna grab our air compressor and blow off any surface dust. All prepped, ready to go. Next, we're gonna grab our solution and squirt 2 squirts inside our bowl of water. Next, we're gonna grab our shoe tree, adjust it to the size, and put it inside the shoe. This is gonna help us reshape the toe box once the cleaning is all done. To start, we're gonna be using our soft bristle brush. Really, for this cleaning, we're only gonna be using the soft and the stiff. We don't need the medium. However, we don't wanna oversaturate the shoe. The biggest tip I can share with you guys is the red leather can bleed. If you scrub too much, you can fade it, or you can get it onto the white and it will stain it. So don't oversaturate the shoe. Let's start with the soft bristle brush. Uppers look good, no issues with that. Now we're on to the sole. For this, we're gonna be using our stiff bristle brush. We're about 90% done with this cleaning. Overall, it looks really good. However, I was starting to feel like I was cleaning the shoe with the same dirty water and solution. So I went ahead and grabbed some fresh water and dumped out the old stuff and got a fresh dried mat. I was starting to feel like the wet grime was getting back onto the shoe as I was cleaning it. That's why it's good to have a backup for situations like this. Let's go ahead and put some more solution into our water and focus on using the medium bristle brush. Really, the only areas I want to focus on is the stitching on the sole and the stitching on the white leather. Cleaning is complete. This shoe looks great. Let's put it to the side real quick and focus on the insole and the lace. For the insole, we're gonna be using our medium bristle brush, and for the lace, we're simply just gonna put it in our leftover water and solution and let it marinate. Cleaning is fully done. The next step we gotta do is let the shoe air dry. It's really hot here in Arizona, so I'm gonna put the shoe outside. The main thing I wanna avoid is getting weird watermarks all around the shoe after they dry, so it's really important to let the shoe evenly dry. Good to go with the cleaning. We got the shoe fully dried, ready to go. The white is back to white. Same thing with the stitching all around the sole. We got rid of all the dinginess. The red still looks good. We didn't wash out too much of the color. The toe box is nicely reshaped. Let's keep it moving with this restoration. The next step we gotta do is take care of this super deep scratch. It's one of the worst scratches I've ever seen. To start, we have this big piece of leather that's kind of hanging off. Instead of chopping it off, we're gonna lay down some super glue to lay it down flat. Good to go with that part. We got the leather laid down nice and flat. Now the rest of the area is still pretty chewed up and shredded. We gotta get it nice and smooth, so we're gonna start off with using some 600 grit sandpaper to get rid of the roughness. Remember, when you're doing this step, you gotta take your time. It's a process, there's a lot of steps to it. Right now, the next step we gotta do is lay down some Angelus leather filler. There's some deep craters thanks to the scratch. We gotta go in and fill it in. Once we lay it down, we'll let it sit for an hour or so, let it fully dry, and then we'll go back and do some more sanding. Leather filler's been applied. We let it sit next to the fan for a good hour and a half. It's ready to go now. Once again, using the 600 grit sandpaper, we're gonna sand it down to get the leather filler even with the rest of the leather. First session of the leather filler and sanding is complete. Overall, it looks a lot better and it feels better. However, as I rub my finger on that leather, I can still feel a little bit of that gash. So I'm gonna go in one more time with the leather filler and a small detail Q-tip and lay down some more filler. After that, we'll let it dry another hour and then we'll do some sanding. The second coat of leather filler is fully dried. We waited about an hour. Once again, we're gonna sand with a 600 grit. All done with the sanding once again. I'd say we're about 95% there. When you lay down the paint job, some of those imperfections still show up. So I'm gonna go back, lay down one more coat of leather filler, do some more sanding, and hopefully we don't see too many imperfections. For this step, I'm gonna do it off camera. Good to go with this back heel panel. It looks good, it's super smooth. Let's move on to this front area. Luckily for me, these front scratches aren't that deep, so we're gonna be using 600 grit sandpaper to get it nice and smooth, and then we'll finish it off with some 800. Sanding is complete, we got the leather nice and smooth. Now we're gonna continue the prep work by using acetone and cotton balls to prep the leather. Specifically this panel, these two parts, and these two as well. We are gonna be making these into the black toe customs, so all of those areas gotta be prepped before we lay down the black paint. Prep is complete. We're gonna take a break from the red leather and jump onto something else. We do have to remove the tongue and replace it with the black tongue later on in this video. So using a seam ripper, we're gonna cut both of these stitch lines to remove the tongue. Tongue is off. In a bit, we'll come back and install the brand new black one. The idea is to cover up all the red, and for this, we're not gonna be using any tape. The reason why I'm not using tape for this specific paint job is because it's a lot easier for me to do so without it. I can get into the smaller details and avoid having to do touch-ups at the end of this paint job. Laying down black is pretty easy, but you gotta make sure you get in between every single little stitch, every little hole and crevice, because that red will show up. Black paint job is good to go. It looks really good all around. The next step we gotta do is move on to these tongues. We're using these black tongues from the Merino Blue Jordan 1s. I pulled these from the donors from the 1985 Royal Ones project that I did with flipping kicks. If you wanna check out that full restoration, check out this video. Next step, we gotta remove this blue Nike tongue tag. We'll replace it with this red and black version that we got from Foxtrot Uniform. First, we gotta use a seam ripper to remove all the stitching. Blue tag is off, we'll save this for a future project. Next, using some double-sided tape, we're gonna lock the tongue tag in place in the front. Then with the post-up machine, we're gonna sew it. Tongue tags are in place. Next, we gotta apply these tongues onto the shoe. First, we'll apply a little bit of glue onto the tongue and onto the shoe. We'll wait about 10 minutes, we'll heat it up, and then we'll stick it together. After that, we'll go to the patcher and sew it in place. The idea is to apply the stitching on the original holes. Tongue is attached, we're done with the custom side of things, we're back onto the restoration. I'm gonna show you guys how to get the perfect match when it comes to this red. What I always start with is using Angelus paints. I gather all my reds and other tones that may come close to the red that I'm working with, and after that, I start narrowing it down. Off the rip, this red isn't vibrant, it's on the darker side. So automatically, I'm just gonna eliminate chili red and fire red because those are on the brighter side. When it comes to restorations on Jordans and Nikes, there's tons of variations of the red. So when I'm trying to mix the color, I always start off with Angelus red as my base. One thing to note is you want to start off with very little paint and add as you go. You don't want to be wasteful and add too much of one color early on because that may potentially ruin your mix. Now that we got the red in the jar, I can already tell that this color is way too bright for the red on the leather. So we're going to be using some scarlet red to darken up the tone. Next, as I'm looking at the shoe once again, I can tell that there's a pink hue to it, a dark tone, so we're gonna be using some raspberry in the mix. After that, we're gonna shake it real well and test it out. Got the paint mixed up. After comparing it onto the leather, I can already tell that this color is way too dark, so we're gonna be adding some white to the mix to lighten it up. Looks pretty good, let's give it a shot. So for this part, we're gonna test it out on the opposite side where the red leather isn't faded. The idea is to apply it, use the heat gun, and if it dries and we don't see it anymore, that means the mix is perfect. We don't wanna do it on this side where it's faded because that's not the original red. Got the perfect color match. Both of these panels look the exact same with this custom color mix. All you gotta do is mix these 4 colors and you'll get the perfect match every time. Unfortunately, I do not have exact ratios for you guys. I always just eyeball it. If you find yourself in a situation where the color isn't red enough, add some more red. If it needs more pink, add some raspberry. If it's not dark enough, add some scarlet red. Or if it needs to be lighter, add some white. It's not that hard. Let's go ahead and lay down the red on this opposite side. Red paint is down, the color match is on point. Real quick with some 2500 grit sandpaper, we're gonna go back and sand it down to get rid of any small imperfections. After that, we're gonna lay down some more red paint, and then with this little piece of leather, we're gonna paint it red, press down on it to get that leather texture onto this piece. Restoration is complete, now let's lace them up. For this, we're gonna complete the aged look with some Foxtrot cream laces. All right, everybody, that is gonna bring us to an end on this lost and found restoration and this custom conversion into the black toes. These look so good. They look like 2 completely different shoes. It's a night and day difference. I can't wait until Nike releases their version of the reimagined black toes. Until then, I gotta finish up the second shoe and rock these black toes. I showed you guys how to properly clean up this sneaker, how to fix a deep scratch in the leather, how to mix a perfect red for the leather on this shoe, and of course the customization side of things, how to change the red into black leather, and how to do a full tongue swap. This was a lot of work, but at the same time, it wasn't that bad. This was a fun project, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something. One more thing before I leave you guys, we have a huge giveaway to celebrate hitting 1.5 million subscribers. We're giving away these off-white UNC 1s and these off-white Jordan 5s in dead stock condition. But that's not all, we also just published our 1,000th video, so we're giving away $1,000 to Many Rolls. All you have to do to enter is check out the description down below. Good luck, everybody, and thank you guys for the continued support. We wouldn't be here without you guys. I'll catch you guys next Monday.